Welcome to episode 25 of Book Nerd Paradise, where we get to know an author as they tell us one of their favorite quotes, read from their work, pose a trivia question, and give away a book or two. Hi, I'm LRW Lee, author of the Andy Smithson Epic Fantasy Adventure Series. For a limited time, I'm offering this 25-page ebook prequel of the series for free on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Google Play. It's the hilarious backstory to Imogenia, a royal spirit who resides in the afterlife where soul music plays, and she has had to navigate between the unfinished business office, unclaimed baggage, Peace Paradise, and several other governmental agencies in the afterlife. So be sure to download your free copy today and then leave a review after you've had a good laugh. I also wanted to let you know that this week I began a new feature on my blog. I read an awful lot of young adult fantasy and sci-fi, and so I've started posting my full reviews of books that I think are mention-worthy. The first one on my blog is a pair of books by Book Nerd Paradise guest author Sherry Ficklin, and the two are Queen of Someday and Queen of Tomorrow. They're the first two books in her Stolen Empires series. It's a fantasy retelling of the life of Catherine the Great of Russia. I thought they were excellent, and I gave both of them 5 stars. You can read the full review on my blog at lrwlee.com. Today, we welcome YA fantasy author Katy Huth Jones as our guest. Katy grew up in a family where she says creative juices overflowed and made puddles to splash in. Boy, that would have been a fun family to grow up in, I have to say. When not writing or sewing or drawing or taking photos, Katy is a very talented woman because she plays piccolo and flute in the Symphony of the Hills. She lives with her husband Keith in the beautiful Texas Hill Country. Their 2 sons, whom she homeschooled, have flown the nest and live creative lives of their own. Best of all, she is a cancer survivor. Please join me in welcoming Katy Huth Jones.
I'm so excited to be part of your series.
It's great to have you, Katy. Katy, you'll be reading from your novel, Mercy's Prince. So that we can get a feel for the book, would you give us a brief synopsis?
I'm going to go ahead and read the one on the back. As second son of the King of Lavathia, 17-year-old Valerian desires the quiet life of a scholarly monk. But when he fails to save his older brother in battle, Valerian must instead become crown prince. While a traitorous knight schemes against him, Valerian meets Mercy, a pacifist healer with whom he can speak mind to mind like the great dragons. Their bond emboldens Valerian to seek out the legendary dragons and ask for their help against the monsters who killed his brother. Can Valerian survive the traitor's assassins long enough to find the dragons? And if he does, can he convince them to lay aside their hatred of humans and help him save the land from destruction?
Okay, this sounds like it should be a very interesting tale. I can't wait to hear you read. Katy, you've selected a favorite quote. If you would, tell us what it is and then tell us why it's a favorite.
Well, I'm a classical musician, and my favorite kind of music is Baroque. And one of my favorite composers is George Friedrich Handel. And he said, "I should be sorry if I have only succeeded in entertaining them. I wished to make them better." And that's been my philosophy as a writer, not just to write things that are entertaining to read, but things that will make things better for the reader, like give them a hope, give them courage, show them a better way.
You'll be giving away a book. What are you giving away?
I'm giving away a copy of Mercy's Prince, and the winner can choose if they'd rather have the ebook version or the paperback.
To enter to win, make sure over on YouTube you leave a brief comment. That's all it takes. You can tell us anything you want about the episode, what you liked about it, and that brief comment will be sufficient to enter you to win. Then on this coming Saturday, I'll do a random drawing and we'll see who the lucky winner is, and it might be you. As I mentioned before, Katie, you'll be reading from Mercy's Prince. Would you briefly set up the portion you'll be reading and then share with us?
This is the scene where Valerian finally finds the great dragons. He and his squire Kieran have ridden a long way to find them, and now he has to go alone to face them, and he knows he may die. So the sun peered over the horizon, bathing the stones with a reddish light. Valerian glanced at Kieran, who nodded. Then Valerian turned and walked toward the dragon's sacred place. It was much farther than it appeared from their campsite. Eventually, he entered the stand of giant oaks. They could have been 1,000 years old, gnarled and twisted by wind and weather. Beside them, Valerian felt like an insect, insignificant and short-lived. Just as he was about to step out in the open and enter the stone circle, a bugling call pierced the air, resonating down his spine. While he watched, an enormous dragon spiraled down from the sky and landed in the center of the circle. It stood on 4 legs and folded back leathery wings. Its scales shimmered blue-green in the sunlight. As it walked, the dragon's long tail carved a trench in the dirt, marking its passage. Other dragons answered as they flew toward the circle. Valerian saw why the stones were spread so far apart. He counted at least 70 of the great beasts, and more were coming down to land within the confines of the holy place. Valerian drew Alden's sword to make it visible. Instead of holding it to the ready, he gripped the blade just below the hilt and held the point downward to show his peaceful intentions. Then, praying he could at least enter the circle before dying, he stepped out from the cover of the trees and walked the rest of the distance to the stones. He paused between 2 of them and opened his mind and his heart to hear the dragons. I am Valerian, son of Orland of the house of Alden. With the absolute calm of one who has accepted death, he stepped into the circle. Though Valerian sensed the stares of many dragon eyes, he focused on the summoner, who must be the leader. When it brought its terrible head down close to Valerian, he could smell sulfur coming from its nostrils. Each of its great eyes was larger than his head. You are of Alden? The dragon's voice sounded loud and majestic in Valerian's mind. Yes, my lord dragon, I come bearing his sword. He held the blade higher, hoping the dragon might recognize it. Other voices spoke in Valerian's mind. This human has profaned our holy place. Burn him, kill him. The leader rose up on its hind legs and roared at the others. Valerian almost dropped the sword at the deafening sound. His legs began to shake uncontrollably. He drew in a ragged breath to calm himself. The dragon dropped back to all 4s and lowered its head again, close enough that Valerian could have reached up and touched it. Why have you come to our sacred place? I saw you in my dreams. You bade me come. I do not remember. The dragon narrowed its eyes. You are a seer. Perhaps it was a seeing dream. It tilted its head to better inspect Valerian. You wear Alden's dragon. You carry his sword. What do you want of us? Valerian went down on one knee and set the sword before him. I humbly ask for the sake of the covenant which you made with Alden, that you renew that covenant with me, his descendant. The land is threatened with destruction by the horde. We need your help to defeat them. The voices began again. Why should we help humans? They want to destroy us. Let the horde annihilate them so we may have the land to ourselves once more. This time when the leader reared up, he flamed 2 lesser dragons nearby. They crumpled in pain, keening. Valerian held up a trembling gloved hand to protect his eyes from the searing heat. Sulfurous fumes assaulted his nostrils. Which of you challenges my authority? No other dragon dared speak. Once more the leader turned to Valerian. Are you king then? No, my lord dragon. I am son of the present king, Orland. Has he had no visions or dreams that he might find our holy place? None, my lord dragon. The sight only came to me upon the death of my elder brother by the horde. My dreams of you in this place began then as well. He showed the dragon, as Mary had shown him, the great numbers of the swarm. The Horde has been our enemy for millennia. They will destroy everything that is good. The dragon turned again to address those assembled. I was young when we swore allegiance to Alden, but I remember the goodness of his heart. This descendant of Alden, son of the king, also has the gift of sight. While the dragons discussed the matter mind to mind, Valerian stared at the magnificent leader. He had known Alden, had been part of the original covenant. Valerian shivered to think of that connection with the past and prayed it would be enough to enlist the support of the rest of the dragons. He glanced down, and the gold threads of the dragon blazoned on the surcoat glinted in the morning light. For all his life, he'd been surrounded by representations of dragons, but had never realized their significance until now. His was an unbroken line from Alden the Dragon King, and now he had the great responsibility to continue that line. With Mary, he remembered. She was also descended from Alden, and she had gifts vital for healing the land and its people. Together, they could bring peace to Lavathia if the dragons agreed to help. We have made our decision, the leader spoke to his mind. Valerian held his breath. I have been reminded that humans have tried to deceive us in the past, claiming to be of Alden when they were not, and my own sire devised a test to prove a human's worthiness. Will you submit to this test, Valerian, son of Alden? I will. Beside the leader, one of the lesser dragons lashed its tail and opened its mouth, revealing long, sharp teeth. Valerian shuddered. What had he just agreed to?
Ooh, okay. That sounds very, very interesting. I think people will definitely want to read more, unless I'm mistaken. Our guest author last week, YA fantasy author Colleen Helm, posed a trivia question for us.
My trivia question was, what is the first thing that Mr. Darcy notices about Elizabeth Bennet? And the answer is her fine eyes.
So, Katy, you have a trivia question for our listeners. What is it?
What is the name of the elderly wizard who befriends young Cale Alarion in Danita K. Paul's Dragon Spell?
Okay, great question. So, Katy will tell us the answer next episode. So make sure that you subscribe to the Book Nerd Paradise YouTube channel so that you don't miss the answer. Katy, are there any final thoughts you'd like to leave with our listeners?
I just want to share something that has inspired me for many years. 8 years ago, I spent a whole weekend with fantasy author Jane Yolen at a writer's retreat, and she autographed this copy of her book for me. It's called Take Joy, and I read it at least once a year because it's so inspirational, and I want to share just one little paragraph. Be prepared as you write to be surprised by your own writing, surprised by what you find out about yourself and about your world. Be ready for the happy accident. Open yourself to the numinous, to the shapes and shades of language, to that first powerful thrust of story, to the character that develops away from you, sort of like a wayward adolescent, to the surprise of the exact and perfect ending. And I felt all of those while writing Mercy's Prince.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Oh, I love that passage. It kind of reminds me of, there's a quote by Ray Bradbury, and I'm not going to say it well, but he talks about love the words that you write. You know, don't be satisfied if you don't love those words. So
Yes.
That's great. That's great. Very good. Thank you for those words. Well, I hope you've enjoyed getting to know Katy Huth Jones just a little bit. I'm LRW Lee, author of the Andy Smithson Epic Fantasy Adventure Series. Be sure to download your ebook copy of the 25-page hilarious prequel to the Andy Smithson series, which is called Power of the Air's Passion, which is free for a limited time.
Click the button to subscribe to the Book Nerd Paradise YouTube channel so you don't miss upcoming authors, giveaways, and answers to trivia questions.
Thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode, and I look forward to seeing you next episode.